the truth about SA. Hey, it's Chris here from Property Abundance, and in this video I want to tell you the realities of running a serviced accommodation business. Now, serviced accommodation is something that's getting a lot of hype at the moment as everyone seems to be jumping into SA. Now, this is a very good reason for doing so, and there's also things that you need to know that I feel a lot of people don't know when they decide to get into the SA industry. So let's just start off. What is SA? Well, look, SA stands for Serviced Accommodation. It's a property application strategy that you can use to run your property and advertise it on sites like Airbnb, Booking.com, where basically you're going to sell this property by the night. Okay, now that means that there comes certain expectations. If you're going to rent this property out following this method, following the short let method, you're going to need all bills to be included. There will be an expectation from your guests that the property is fully set up. So everything's in the kitchen for them to use. Everything's in the living room for them to use. There's good Wi-Fi in the property. There's TV packages in there. And there'll be an expectation as well that there's freshly pressed linen on the beds, fresh towels in the bathroom or the bedroom, and that they can basically turn up with a suitcase and move in and live there as if it was their own home. So firstly, that's a big difference compared to traditional letting that maybe some people don't know about when they're getting into this. Now, so if there's all this extra stuff that you've got to provide, which obviously amounts to cost and money that you've got to spend, why do people do it? Well, the simple reason is that you can make a lot more money from serviced accommodation if you do it right. Now, that's the if. Okay, there's a huge opportunity to increase your income when running a property as serviced accommodation, but there's several things that you've got to get right. And again, right now, I feel like this area is being hyped massively by all the trainers, all the gurus out there, have a lot to say about serviced accommodation, not necessarily from a place of much experience. Now, again, just to credentialize myself here, I run a serviced accommodation business, have done since 2016. It's called Trade Stays. We manage properties right the way across the UK, all the way from Manchester down to London and basically every town in between. So we have a lot of experience in this. And I think sometimes people jump into this industry without being fully aware. So let's talk about the truth. Now, one of the things that people aren't aware of is that SA is seasonal. Okay, you will have a seasonal fluctuating income in this industry. That's because you get differences in the travel market. You're effectively competing with the hotels, B&Bs, guest houses that are out there, as well as other serviced apartments. Now that means in summer, you're going to get tons of bookings. Okay, it's so easy to make money as a serviced apartment operator in summer. But right now in winter, well, right now we're getting a bit of Christmas traffic actually, so things have picked up nicely again. But right at the start of November, things were a bit quiet. Come the start of January, we know things will be a bit quiet there. Because you get these dips in travel. Just less people travel at that time of year. And if they are traveling, they're certainly not going to London. You know, who goes to London in January? Okay, people go to London loads in December, loads throughout the year, but you get a big drop off, and not just London, by the way, everywhere, a big drop off in January, February. These are your low season months, and November to an extent as well. So you need to prepare for that. Now, the implications are that means if you're launching a property at this time of year, you need to launch knowing that you're going to have less bookings for the first couple of months. Now, if you're launching right now, I'm recording this on the 30th of November. So if you're launching right now, you might benefit from some good Christmas traffic. You might get a sudden surge of bookings straight after you launch, but then you will need to prepare for the fact that actually January, February, you might not even break even. You might not even cover your costs. So you need to, when launching, make sure you've got a stockpile of cash to ride through a couple of winter months if you need to. And know that further down the line from March onwards, you're going to be back into the good times. Okay, the best time of year is really March until October. These are the best months. And then December kind of nicely in the middle because of Christmas. So make sure you're aware of that. Make sure you plan for that. Now, the second truth is that because SA is such a great strategy for improving your income, you've got a lot of traditional landlords, especially at the moment because interest rates and mortgage payments are so high, now switching to serviced accommodation. So you've got a lot more operators in the market than you used to. Back in 2016, when I first started my serviced accommodation business, I could take a property, stick it on Airbnb, go like that and get loads of bookings because no one was really doing it, or people were doing it, but a lot less. Now, in the time that I've been operating, there's a lot more operators got into the market, a lot more, therefore, competition in the market. Now, that obviously has a squeeze on pricing, but there is still a lot of things you can do to beat the competition because from what I've found, competition's not that hard to beat. You know, a lot of people jump into serviced accommodation and do half a job of it. Okay, you've either got to be all in or all out. If you're going to be all in, be all in. Now, how can you do that? Well, you can focus on a specific niche. You can know who your target audience is and actually set your property up with that target audience in mind. So check what the demand factors in your town are. Why are people coming to your town? Why are they traveling to that particular area? You want to be looking for things like big hospitals, corporate districts, development projects, like tourist attractions, all the things that bring people to an area for a period of time before they then go home again. So get to know your market, get to know who's traveling there and why, and then you can pick and set up your property with that target market in mind. You will have so much more success if you can be specific and target the kind of things that your clients want. Now, Tradestays, my serviced accommodation business, we focus primarily on the travel for work sector. So we do a lot of stuff with building contractors. We do a lot of stuff with IT contractors. We actually get a lot of people that work on the highways. We get a lot of like consultants and people traveling for business. Now, these are the kind of people that are great to attract, but they have work requirements. Now, we focused all of our marketing, all of our branding, and all of our property setup on people who want to travel for work, making sure there's work areas, making sure that we're close to the thing they're likely to be traveling for. So if it's developments and we're aiming for contractors, we'll set up our properties near to the areas where developments are happening. If it's corporate travel that we're trying to attract, we'll set up near the town centre or near the area where all the corporate offices are. So by doing that, you can really kind of home in on your niche and you'll get a lot more traction within that niche as well. Now, one of the other things I've noticed is people are generally quite lazy with their serviced accommodation businesses. And I'll give you a good example of this. So when you're listing on booking.com, they will give you a percentage score and it's called your completeness score. Now, that's one of the things that affects your algorithmic ranking. Now, by that, I mean like where you rank on the page. So when you search an area, are you at the top of the list or are you at the bottom of the list or are you on page 40, not even on the list? Okay, so completeness of listing is one of the things that really affects this. And they could not make it any easier for you. Okay, they literally give you a checklist. And if you fill out everything on the checklist, just give them the information they ask for, you get a 100% score. If you get a 100% score, that means you've got the best possible completeness score and therefore will rank higher on the page. That's one of the things that influences it. And yet, it staggers me how few people have 100% completeness scores. It couldn't be easier to do. So if you're a service department operator and you're looking for more bookings, make sure you've checked that first because you're leaving money on the table if you haven't. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is more regulation. Again, up until now, serviced accommodation has very much been the wild west of property. Okay, there's no rules, no real rules other than the London 90-day rule. And then maybe some stuff around head leases as well. But apart from that, if you compare it to other property strategies like HMOs, like single lets, where it's highly regulated, there's kind of no rules. So that means it's been the Wild West. Now, this is changing, okay? So from the 1st of October, there were a bunch of fire safety measures brought in to make sure that you're setting your properties up. They went a long way, some would say too far, in making properties fireproof or fire safe, we should say. You have to have fire plans, escape routes, fire doors, smoke alarms that are hardwired and integrated. They've basically taken the fire safety requirements for HMOs and applied it to serviced accommodation as well. Now, that's step one. Personally, I think there's a lot more coming. I think we're moving towards licensing. Now, next year, there will be a new serviced accommodation planning class brought in. It may happen next year, may not happen next year. You know what governments are like. But there are plans, we should say, for a new planning class for serviced accommodation coming called C5 as well. Now, you will automatically have the right to go from C3, residential, to C5, short let, without a change of use, without a planning permission, like going through full planning application. But then there's Article 4, and local councils might take away that right. So this could start to get more tricky in the future. I think there will also be licensing brought in where you'll have to physically apply and pay to apply for a license. Your property will be inspected to make sure it's up to standard. Now, look, this is all good stuff. Okay, this professionalizes the industry. It takes all the cowboys out of it and just makes sure that people are actually getting safe places to live. So this is not to be feared, but it's to be worked with. Now, that means that there's opportunity here. You know, with regulation coming in, with licensing likely to come in, planning changes coming in for sure, but just not quite sure when yet. And with fire safety measures being come in, although not really being checked on by the council at the moment, this does create opportunity, because the more regulation you get in an industry, the more it pushes out the cowboys, the rogue operators, and makes it less easy for people to get in. I'll just go and rent any property, stick it on Airbnb, hope I make a few quid. You're going to lose that end of the market. So anyone who is doing it properly, doing it professionally, actually spending time learning how to do this, getting a coach or mentor who's trodden the path that they have and will teach them all the inside secrets of how they get the best occupancy and pricing, those people are the ones that will succeed, because they're the ones who have invested time learning the rules and following the rules. And all the competition that's kind of just grab one or two properties, hopefully make a couple of quid here or there, and it'll be my side hustle. Not the people who are looking to set up proper businesses. They're the ones that will get squeezed out of the market, which will be good for the overall standard and good for competition as well, because there'll be bad for competition, there'll be less competition, good for operators who are doing it properly. Now, look, hopefully you found this super useful. Hopefully you can see there is tons of opportunity in serviced accommodation, but you've got to do it right. Now, if you want to learn a bit more about this, I'm giving away a free audiobook. Sorry, let me say that again. I'm giving away a free ebook. So that is down below in the description. You might have seen the pop-up already, but go ahead and click on the link in the description down below. If it's not there, check the comments. Depends where you're watching this video. But you can download a free ebook written by myself about how I grew my property business from 0 to 7 figures in just a couple of years, and how you can do the same using the serviced accommodation strategy, amongst others. So go ahead and grab that. Please do me a massive favor. If you found this useful, go ahead and click that like button. Comment below. Let me know what you think that is coming up in the serviced accommodation industry. Are you already involved? How many units have you got? Where are you based? Where are you doing this? And what do you think might be coming further down the line? What changes do you think might be coming? If you haven't already done so as well, please subscribe and click that bell notification to make sure you stay up to date with the latest property content from my own 7-figure property business, Trades Days. Other than that, guys, I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.